Hi, welcome to Board Game Express. Let's strategy blitz Castles of Burgundy. So now that you know how to play, let's talk about some strategic concepts that'll help you play a little bit of a leaner game. The first thing I like to have people understand is sort of their action efficiency. Now, since the game is going to go 5 phases and 5 rounds, you're going to have 25 total rounds of play, and you're going to have 2 dice each round, which means players are going to have 50 actions for the entire game, essentially. Now, the winning score for Castles of Burgundy tends to be just a little bit above 200. So let's just call it 200. That means you're going to score 200 points over the course of these 50 actions. So the understanding is that each action you take is going to be worth about 4 points. Now, keep in mind that in order to build a tile, you both need to pick it up with a die, and then you need to put it down with a die. So that's actually 2 actions. So think of it this way, like each thing that you put on the board is responsible for getting about 8 points for you in some way over the course of the game. So that's one thing to understand. Now, another thing that I think a lot of first-time players kind of pick up on, but just in case, the mines are quite powerful because, and especially if you build them early, because they're going to give you 1 silverling at the end of each phase. That means if you were to buy one in the first phase of the game, in phase A, then it's going to pay you at the end of turn 1, 2, or phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to collect 4 usable silverlings. That's 2 actions that you're going to get to do. That's 2 buys of the black market. Most buildings are actually only going to give you 1 action when you build it. And generally speaking, that's basically what everything does. A castle literally gives you 1 die of your choice. It gives you 1 action. So an early mine is definitely just disproportionately useful. So just make sure you get them if you can. Something worth fighting for, basically. Now, third thing is sort of the idea of what to do with your pastures, with the livestock tiles. Now, I think it's pretty straightforward that since they score the same animal type in the same pasture over and over again, that as you play this out, you're going to want in your big pasture to focus one particular animal and just kind of keep hammering it over and over and over again. Now, if your opponents are good at stopping you from doing this, hopefully at least you're able to get 4 of the same animal down in the very beginning, and then maybe one time you get blocked, so be it. But within that context, another thing to understand is that since you are going to be scoring the same ones over and over and over, then what you want to realize is that if at all possible you have this control, you want to put the higher number ones down first. So let's say during the course of play you were to manage to pick up a 4, a 3, and a 2 cow. Just say, for example. Well, if you put down the 4 first, and then you put down the 3 first, that will rescore the 4. And then you put down the 2, which will rescore everything. You're going to get 4 points, then you're going to get 7 points, then you're going to get 9 points for your third placement. So that's going to add up to 20. But if you were to do this in the reverse order, if you were to put down the 2 first, then the 3 will score you 5, and then you were to put down the 4 to score 9, you're only going to get 15 that way. So control the animals as best you can, and of course as your opponents allow you. Get the same one into the same pasture and get the bigger ones early on, so on and so forth. All right, so that's a third tip. The final thing, which is a little bit more of an advanced idea, but I think you guys can take care of this, is that yes, as in any Euro where you and your opponents are competing to grab the same things, turn order does matter. But I do want to point out that turn order matters in particular when your phase is about to turn over, basically at the conclusion of each of the 5th rounds. And the reason for that, of course, is because you're going to be wiping the board and you're going to be setting it up with the new tiles for the following round, which means whoever is going to go first during the start of the new phase is going to get first dibs on, theoretically, all the best tiles. So that's sort of when turn order really matters. So if you and your opponents are sort of jockeying pretty evenly, try to time it so that, really near the end of the 5th round of a phase, you're going to hop right on top and that you get to go first starting the next phase. Another thing that is going to matter along these lines is that because at the start of a new phase, you're going to have the emergence of all the popular new tiles, You also want to enter each new phase with as few tiles in your storage as possible, because the first thing you're usually going to want to do during a new phase is you're going to want to pick up a bunch of new tiles. And it's not unusual that you are going to pick up 3. New phase begins. You've gotten some silverlings from mines that you've previously built. So on your first turn, you're going to use 1 die to pick up something, you're going to use your second die to pick up something, and then you're going to spend 2 silverlings to pick up a third thing. And then, bam, you're going to get, in theory, the 3 things you wanted most. So that's something to understand. Takes a little more work to kind of get that right, of course, but it's something that really helps to know. Finally, a little bonus tip for you guys. The game does come with extra boards, so you can use board 1 if you want to use the basic board. If you feel like you're ready for it, you guys can either randomly, or you can draft the different boards. You get a total of 9 in the game. You also, the other option is that you are allowed to choose where you want your starting estate on these boards. Just a word, if you have not sort of poked around on the internet and figured this out, I do want to mention specifically board 8. Board 8 is not balanced. It's very important to understand that. The 2 reasons it's sort of a little too good is because that's not board 8. That is board 8. 2 reasons it's particularly good is because a lot of the zones in this one are very, very small. There are a lot of single tile regions, and because of that, that allows the player to finish them super, super early. So like if you start your estate, you know, like let's say right here in this corner, you're immediately next to a singleton, you're next to a pair, you're 1 space away from another singleton, you're next to another pair of singletons. You can finish a lot of regions very quickly, meaning you're going to be hitting this 10 and 8 bonus much more quickly than everyone else. A second really big problem with this board is this zone right here. This pasture is 6 spaces large, which that's just crazy. Like, you can put the same animal in here 6 times, and you'll score that first one 6 times. If you were to, like in a perfect world, if you were to put a 4, a 4, a 3, a 3, a 2, and a 2 of your desired animal, that adds up to, I believe, 71 points by itself. That's a lot. And then, of course, you're going to get the 6 space region bonus, which is another 21. That's 92 already. You're also going to at least get a 2 for finishing it in the last phase of the game. That's already 94 of your possibly 200-ish points. That's a lot. This board is very strong. So either don't use it, or if you have a friend who's just not as experienced the gamer, you can give this to them to give a little bit of a handicap and just kind of not point out and see if they figure out what to do. But just know that it's not the same thing. All right. So those are some of the strategies for Castles of Burgundy. Good luck out there.